Good morning, new community. There's a line between breakdown and breakthrough, and that line is not so thin. This morning we're looking at Psalm 62, and in this psalm, David is literally preaching to his distressed, vulnerable soul. And actually, he's speaking to ours as well. So let's take a look at verse 5. It says, "For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my salvation and my glory. My mighty rock, my refuge is God." David is reminding his soul of his source of strength, that instead of being shaken, to rest in God and take refuge in him. The hard truth is that in seasons of desperation, those are our training grounds for trust. And trust is that line between breakdown and breakthrough. I love these words in verse 8. It says, "Trust in him at all times." What does all times mean? All times. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Why would you ever run to a refuge unless you were presented with real danger? It's really uncomfortable, but when God is our only hope, we are uniquely positioned as an opportunity for God to do and be what only he can. I just want to encourage you, if you're experiencing a valley, if you're experiencing trauma or despair, that trusting God doesn't always look like we want it to look. It's not always wrapped in the right language. Verse 5, wait in silence. Sometimes you don't have the words. Sometimes you're just being still and knowing that he is God. Verse 8, sometimes it's not always pretty. It says, pour out your heart before him. I don't know about you, but I've been in situations where the contents of my heart were not all pretty. They were not all Christian-y. But when we pour out our hearts before God, we're taking it to the right place. And he's big enough and strong enough to handle the mess and to make something beautiful out of it. So I just want to encourage you. You may feel like you're being pressed down, but you are not going to break down. When you trust in God, you can break through.